Hey, hello, leaders. This is Paul Grau, and welcome back to Run to Your Leadership Challenges. And hey, today we're going to talk about time blindness. Now, the other day, if you were with us on Saturday, we talked about wasting time. And today, I want to kind of revisit the whole time thing, but I want to talk about this thing called time blindness because up until a few weeks ago, I had never heard of it in my life. And I struggle with this. And my wife, out of the blue one day, she just said, you have time blindness. She said, you really don't struggle with time management per se as much as you struggle with time blindness. And I was like, what in the world is time blindness? So I started asking her some questions and she started explaining some of this stuff. But first of all, you got to understand, my wife is super smart. I mean, if you ask her about a topic and she tells you something and she seems like she knows a lot about it, well, she does. Just believe her because she has done the research. And if she's going to talk about it and tell you about it, believe me, she has done her research and she knows it. When she told me that I have time blindness, I was like, well, tell me what that is. And she's like, well, you know how you leave the room and you tell me, hey, I'll be back in a couple minutes or I'll be right back. And as soon as she said that, I knew where she was going because a lot of times we'll be doing something and I'll say, hey, I'll be right back. I got to go to the bathroom or something. And before you know it, I'll go to the bathroom. Then I'll start doing something else. Then I'll see something in the kitchen and then I need to get a drink. And then anyway, I'll come back into the room where my wife is and it'll be like an hour later. And not always that long, but it'll be a lot more than just a couple minutes or the whole be right back. So she's kind of figured out that when I say I'll be right back, it means, all right, you got time to take a little break because it'll be at least 10 or 15 minutes probably. So that's just one sign that you may be struggling with time blindness. Other things that I do is I lose track of time. I'll be doing something and I think I'm working on something for 10 or 15 minutes and it's been more like a half an hour or 45 minutes. And, when I was talking about wasting time, a lot of times I'll say I waste time. But then again, if you listen to Saturday's episode, I said, there might not be such a thing as wasting time because we all choose how to spend our time. And a lot of times when I say that I've wasted time, it's really a time blindness issue that I have. When I say that I, struggle with time management and have to build schedules to follow, well, I think it was as much of me dealing with the time blindness that I had than it was not being so great at time management. Because if I have it written down, I will follow it to a T. When I was in the Air Force, I was always on time. I didn't miss appointments. I didn't miss meetings. I was hardly ever late, but it took a lot of effort. I mean, I had to set alarms. I had to do specific things, and I knew that, hey, I needed to be there. So we used to have a thing saying in the Air Force, if you're not 10 minutes late, or if you're not 10 minutes early, you're 10 minutes late. Basically, if you're not early, you're late. And because we are supposed to be prompt, we need to be prompt. So I got researching this time blindness thing, and I came across this article that was written in the USA Today. And it was pretty neat, but it was talking about this TikTok video. It was talking about this TikTok video that went viral, and it was about a girl that was on there crying because she was having a hard time showing up to work on time. And she told her boss that she had time blindness and she requested an accommodation be made for her because of her time blindness. Well, I guess I didn't see the video and I didn't go to look for it. Probably if you go on TikTok and search girl being late with time blindness, it would probably come up. It's had over 4 million views, I guess. But the thing is, I don't know how it turned out. I don't know if the boss made accommodations or not, but this USA Today article talked about how the mental health experts say that time blindness is a legitimate thing. It's a legitimate, diagnosable, researched thing that people have. And the people who are very prone to having it is people with ADHD, because I guess ADHD, if you have ADHD, which I probably do, I mean, I'm always going, always going. My mind's never stopped. My mind never rests. And, that's catching up to me a little bit. So I don't know. I have anxiety as well. So, I take some prescriptions for that kind of calm me down, help me stay focused. But the whole time blindness thing is a new discovery that she has opened my mind to. And the article, it basically defined time blindness as, it says time blindness is a difficulty with it says that time blindness is a difficulty with a perception of time. How much time has passed, how much time it's going to take to do something. And it can be quite impairing to people. And this was a quote from Stephanie Sarkis, which is a psychotherapist and author specializing in ADHD, anxiety, and narcissistic abuse. So, again, this is a psychotherapist, and she said that, yes, it has definitely been researched. So, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, and I don't know if you struggle with this, but here's some signs, some telltale signs that you may be struggling with time blindness. Do you ever over or underestimate how much time has passed? So maybe you're talking to somebody and you might say, "Hey, we've been talking 10 or 15 minutes." You look down, it's been an hour. I mean, I've done that. Do you ever seem to run late no matter how hard you try to be on time? If that's you, that could be a sign that you might have time blindness. Well, how about this one? Do you ever think that you've been distracted for just a few minutes and in reality, it's been an hour or two? Again, I've been guilty of that. And now I have something to name it, I guess. Another thing is, do you ever have difficulty keeping track of time? Now, I don't know of anybody who doesn't have difficulty keeping track of time one time or another in their life, right? I mean, a lot of times we get doing something that we really love, which I really stress in life. I think we should all really do the things that we love to do. And if we could work in the areas that we really love to do, I think that time is going to fly. Ironically enough, this article went on to say that time blindness is also common if you are grieving, if you're drunk, if you're stressed out at all, or if you're sleep deprived. Now, I can relate to a couple of them. Grieving. I know that my dad died 5 years ago. My mom died a year ago, and it's rough when you're grieving. Time seems to just go quickly. In the beginning, it seems to stop, but then as the days and the weeks and the months tick by that they've been gone, they just seem to really be racking up quickly. Being stressed and in a stressful environment is unhealthy. And obviously, it'll allow you to lose track of time. And then sleep deprived, man, I can go into this. I have sleep apnea, and I sleep with a CPAP every night. I don't enjoy it, but I do enjoy waking up in the morning. So I get better sleep with the CPAP, but I still am sleep deprived because I try to burn that candle on both ends. I try to stay up late, and I try to get up mornings early, and my favorite time of the day is in the morning, sitting out on my front porch. And again, the time blindness can definitely come in there because I'll get out there, I'll turn on the sprinklers, and I'll be drinking my coffee and just watching the the birds and the sunset and kind of watching the day come to life. And before you know it, an hour's passed, and so definitely can lose track of time there. So, a couple of tips that you might want to try on this if you think you do have time blindness, you can set alarms. I do this. Um, Quick example, I said that I set the sprinklers out front when I go out and drink my coffee. Well, they're on zones, and I have to change these zones every 15, 20 minutes or so. So I set an alarm because otherwise I'll forget about it. I'll get going about doing something else and I'll be like, oh man, an hour later, I'm like, sprinklers are still on. Oh no. So I set an alarm and that alarm goes off. And when the alarm goes off, I'm like, oh, time to go shut the sprinklers down or rotate them or something. So alarms work great. Set alarms for the tasks that you have. You know, give yourself, if you want to give yourself an hour to work on one thing, set an alarm for an hour. And then you can set your whole day up in the beginning of the day. You could say, okay, from 9 to 10, I'm going to work on this. From 10 to 10:15, I'm going to take a quick break. From 10:15 to 11, I'm going to work on this. And you could do this. You could set them on your phone. You could, if you have an Alexa or a Hey Google app, you can set them on that. You know, that's easy to set a time. There's apps on your phone that you can download that are very easy. My doctor showed me how you could set an alarm right on your iWatch if you have an Apple Watch or some other type of watch. So very easy to set alarms. Another tip that you can do to help with time blindness is to use an analog clock instead of a digital clock. Now, this is pretty cool because I do have an analog clock hanging in my office, and I look up and it's very easy to see that hand, you know, the minute hand and the hour hand, and it's even got the second hand, and it recommends having an analog clock like that. Go old school. It also recommends that you get plenty of sleep. You know, a sleep deprivation can cause time blindness to be amplified. So sleep or lack of sleep impacts much of your life in every area, just like stress. I mean, so make sure you're getting enough sleep at night. And then also another tip is to see your doctor. Go see your doctor. Maybe get checked out. Maybe you do have ADHD. And if you have ADHD, you can see a specialist, and that can be treated. And if that's treated, that will alleviate a lot of your time blindness issues that you may or may not have. So, one thing for leaders that, you know, the TikTok video that went viral where the girl was asking for an accommodation, and she was crying, so maybe her boss just blew her off. But one thing that a tip that I want to give you as far as a leader goes, we have no idea what people who work for us are going through. So if they come to you and they say, hey, I have time blindness and, you know, I have a hard time with this, don't just blow them off. That's something that it's probably not easy for them to come and admit something like that. So try to help them out. You know, sit down with them and say, okay, what are some things that we can do? And go over these things. Have them set alarms. Have them use analytical or analog clocks. Have them get enough sleep. Have them go see a doctor to get them checked out for ADHD or maybe a sleep doctor. But don't just blow them off and think that, hey, I don't have time blindness, so that's ridiculous. You know, get here on time no matter what. Take the time to get to know your people. Take the time to get to talk to them. And, you know, you may just save their life because you might be the first one in their life that is willing to sit down and talk to them and hear them and listen to them explain the problems that they have. I know in the Air Force, I had a guy that was late all the time, and I went to the base exchange and we bought him a new alarm clock because he said his alarm clock wasn't working. And after about the third time, I'm like, get yourself a new alarm clock. And so he's like, I said, all right. I said, you know what? Let's take a break. And we went right to the base exchange. We bought him an alarm clock. And guess what? He wasn't late anymore. It legitimately was his alarm clock that was not working. So it could be something as simple as that, but it could be something real and that's been researched and diagnosed. It could be something like time blindness. So just keep that in mind. I know it went a little long yesterday or today, but hey, hope this was good for you. And if it was, I would really like to invite you to share this with others. And if you feel like it, please leave me a review. Um, Come back tomorrow because tomorrow we're going to talk about all the scars in our life and how the scars and the not so great things that have happened to us can actually be one of the best things that happened for us. So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. And until then, run to your challenge. We'll see you.